Print media has been around for centuries. Radio and film for roughly 120 years, television for roughly 90, the modern computer for roughly 40, and smartphones for roughly 15. Things change, they go through rapidly maturing stages of nascency, evolution, and then eventually become a standard. We've seen this very cycle play out with news, movies, sitcoms, YouTube, and now short-form content. The technological disruption that began to take shape in spring of 2020 was foreseen to happen, but not this quick. Old and new options for entertainment came in and out of style. Radio was the hub for raw news on COVID-19, as well as criticisms of state governments, while TikTok was the definitive hub for video. We've utilized these branches to reach massive swaths of people, brands, and some became household names. It's the world's widest market for ideas and personalities. One established area are the post-production disciplines, visual effects, animation, and nonlinear editing. These craftspeople, if you think about it, are the backbone to all the hit stories of our childhoods, and deserve our utmost respect. They also have one of the most rigorous occupations in the labor market, and it's kind of been that way since the craft began to take off and expand, which was pretty much around the time computers became more and more commercially available. They helped spearhead communities and platforms spawn, and these platforms were just figuring themselves out in their nascency. They served as art mediums for, media. For a while, the independent film scene was booming and commercially viable to make ends meet, as well as brand yourself as a means to break into the industry you wanted to flourish in. Back then, when a new medium materialized, it tended to offer something more dimensional than its predecessor. After all, even though radio was still being consumed by a mass market in some capacity, whoever was driving a car doing garage work, so for video on the TV, the late 90s into the 2000s was a monumental period for cable television in all departments and demographics. If you wanted to flourish as a successful creator, you had to break into the industry from where you were. If you were a filmmaker, filmmaking was your life. And if you were specifically a visual effects artist or animator, you created for those filmmakers. They're your client, they're your source of income, they're your source and reason for your brand and reputation. Unless you became a Tim Burton, a Bill Plimpton, or a Matt Groening. That was pretty much the case up until 2005 when YouTube arrived on the scene. It took a considerably long time for it to normalize and become a standard, but the moment subscriber counts started to reach the millions, it was almost clear that YouTube was no amateur plaything. Yes, cringy, and by no means was it at cinema standards, at least what was circulating at the time. However, production quality wasn't a winning factor back then like it is now when you have 4K 60 frames a second as an option on your cellular phone, because all that mattered was the proof of concept of self-publishing as a potential for success. There was pretty much no need for external vendors. If you needed something animated, you called your art friend. If you needed a big pool or a flamethrower or an animal, you called your friends or local businesses who owned one. It was a very DIY operation, not that far removed from what filmmakers have done for eons. But filmmakers were also using online video platforms like YouTube or even Vimeo to showcase work to wider audiences, and the algorithms at play spread your projects like wildfire. Remember, this was around the time that vlogs had already been integrated in the creator economy, so the idea of an online vlog being under the YouTube umbrella happened pretty fast. But there were also new kinds of genres being forged, like film reviews, credit to the likes of Angry Video Game Nerd and Nostalgia Critic, or video essays like this one, which were started by an array of creators I can't even pinpoint, Ray William Johnson maybe, but ultimately, gaming was the winner. It's kind of amazing to look back on shows like iCarly that were chronicling this evolution into a fictional success story. Social media I haven't even mentioned yet, so I have to back up and restart a bit. Oh great, now I have to make a convoluted analogy. Video is like cargo and goods. You can onboard it onto a truck, boat, train, airplane, jitney, or a stretch limousine. No, this doesn't work. My point is, we treat our digital media projects and value by its performative metrics and its engagement and its quantitative reach to people. Digital trends have gone in and out of style faster than trends in the 20th century. I mean, the rock and roll market lasted pretty long into the modern era. But fast forwarding to today, YouTube, yes, it isn't the frontier proprietary video platform that it was before, but there are pros. There's no time limit. There are different kinds of videos on here. a wider variety than Instagram or TikTok perhaps. And let's face it, there's history here. These comment sections are tokens of a time of normalcy for us. They're probably more safely chronicled than your clubhouse arguments. Everything I'm talking about is pretty much video internet culture, a space that formed in congruence with the ongoing film circles. I think it was highly underestimated at the time how much the lines between the commercial and amateur were being wiped away by incoming tides, which haven't receded. If you told a media executive in 2005 that Minecraft videos would eventually have a farther reach than Hollywood projects, and by eventually, I mean not in the distant future, you would probably have coffee thrown in your face.
Oh, that ain't working. That's the way you do it.
So now here we are, post-COVID. The landscape is beyond stratified with content old and new. I've compounded and loosely defined digital creators as artists because they created a new art form. As artists and as digital creators, if your creative labor output can't be used for self-promotion in a way to augment and maximize your brand online, if it's just relegated to real content, you're short-capping yourself by a mile in today's age. Instagram and TikTok have well opened the door in the wake and succession of YouTube to self-branding, and there are thousands of examples to support my case. But I have two in particular worth to share. In the wake of the COVID pandemic, when I was graduating the School of Visual Arts in New York City and the job market did a 180 on itself, I was freelancing here in the urban outskirts of New Jersey. I discovered through Amoni LaRussa, and please check out her content, she's an amazing artist and a wonderful person. I came across one of her stories featuring a Zoom meeting with multiple creators at a screen having a grand old time listening to tech music. No mics, everyone was muted, just the chat box. It's called Edit Party, still ongoing, and it was created by viral VFX artist Cash Bunny as a way to bring creators from around the world into a 24/7 Zoom room. Cash Bunny did a lot of work around the LA rave and festival scene. She locked in brand endorsements from Adobe, Artlist, and most rewarding of all, Microsoft, who gave her an ad feature as well as her own in-store exhibit, also a Times Square ad. Her body of work is mainly comprised of adventure travel content, trippy visuals, and dog edits. Included in that is her now viral zoetrope effect. The Edit Party crew hit a chord when Clubhouse and Twitter drove the NFT discussion and even had deadmau5 on as a guest attendee. On a wider scope of the stage is Corridor Crew though. Corridor Crew started out in the late 2000s producing fan-made machinimas, both in-game and live action. They set themselves apart from other machinima creators in their output quality and ideas. Then, they exploded in popularity once their VFX Artists React series took off, which covers the best and worst of visual effects shots, often guest featuring industry professionals and veterans. They themselves are the studio, as well as good longtime friends. I mean, what undiscerning college student wouldn't get a kick out of this?
Alright, ready? 3, 2, 1, dropper!
Oh, you thought it was gonna chop?
You thought we were gonna put the guillotine videos on this channel? No, there's a channel called youtube.com/guillotine channel.
Creative communities have gone online, and the world's foreseeable future is now entirely digital. Not everyone has embraced this change, though. Most people in the post-production industry are grieving the glory days and grappling to accept the fact that we're in the content industry now. The two aforementioned examples are excellent, very real use cases and success stories of self-published content gone right, especially given the history of the VFX industry's battle with fixed bidding from production studios. The RVFX subreddit's response to this has only shown one thing: their blatant disregard to the fact that movies and television are no longer the frontier outlet of entertainment for the general public, and that artists are carving their own paths through social media and reaching a volume of new kinds through freelance work. This change has been met with vitriolic grievance and snide remarks. VFX artists who worked on motion pictures battled the same battle, so there are shared scars and shared horror stories, which back in the day and in the present day formed strong communities. Now that work from home is the new standard, commercial real estate offices are empty, and people tend to be more private to themselves, the landscape is now beyond stratified. There are more entertainment options than ever before, and YouTube, unbeknownst to society 17 years ago, started that trend. Again, the world is now entirely digital. Talent and effort are valuable for self-development as well as self-improvement, but online branding is a raw skill in itself. Whatever your native craft is, it can open a door you never even knew was there. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to give a like and subscribe. Thank you.